Welcome, truth seekers, to a tale that dives into the deepest shadows of the spiritual realm. A story so ancient, so shrouded in mystery, that has been whispered across millennia. Today, we're unraveling the enigma of Abiddon, the dark angel who, with a single act, changed the course of cosmic history by imprisoning Satan himself for 1,000 years. Who is this being? Where did he come from? And why does his name strike both awe and dread into the hearts of those who dare to speak it? Grab a seat, because this journey is going to take us places you've never imagined. But before we dive in, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. This channel is all about bringing the Bible to life and empowering you with God's Word. Let's start at the beginning. Before the chains, before the abyss, before the title of the destroyer clung to his name like a shadow. Abiddon, or Abaddon, as is more commonly known in ancient texts, wasn't always a fearsome figure we picture today. In the earliest whispers of his existence, he was something else entirely, a celestial being forged in the fires of divine purpose. Picture this, a vast, shimmering expanse of heaven, where countless angels basked in the glory of the Creator. Among them stood Abiddon, a cherub of unimaginable power, his wings glinting with a dark, otherworldly sheen that set him apart even then. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Abiddon wasn't just any angel. He was a guardian, a warrior of the highest order. Some ancient traditions paint him as a cherub stationed at the edges of Eden, wielding a flaming sword alongside others to bar humanity from the tree of life after fall. But there's more to him than that. The name Abaddon comes from the Hebrew word meaning destruction or doom, and in Greek, he's called Apollyon, the destroyer. That's no coincidence. Even in his earliest days, there was something about him that hinted at a purpose far beyond the serene hymns of heaven. He wasn't made for peace. He was made for judgment. See, heaven wasn't always the tranquil paradise we imagine. Long before humanity scratched its first words into clay, a war erupted, a rebellion that would shake the foundations of creation. Lucifer, the morning star, the most beautiful of all angels, turned against the divine order. He rallied a third of the heavenly host, promising them freedom, power, a throne of their own. And here's where Abiddon's story takes a dark turn. While some tales cast him as a loyal soldier god, others, darker, more forbidden accounts, suggest he wavered. Picture this, a battlefield of light and shadow, the air thick with the cries of fallen angels. Did Abiddon stand firm, or did he feel the pull of Lucifer's charisma? Some say he was tempted, drawn into the rebellion not by pride, but by a hunger for something greater, a role no one else would play. But Abiddon didn't fall, not fully. Unlike Lucifer, who plunged into the abyss of his own making, Abiddon pulled back from the edge. Why? Maybe he saw the chaos of rebellion for what it was, a path to ruin. Maybe he glimpsed his true calling in that moment. Whatever the reason, he stayed in the ranks of heaven, but he was changed. The light in his wings dimmed. His gaze grew colder, and whispers began to spread among the angelic host. They called him the Angel of the Abyss, a title that hinted at a destiny no one could yet comprehend. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was becoming something else, a force of divine wrath, a shadow cast by the light of God himself. Now, let's fast forward through eons of silence. Abiddon's role in heaven remained a mystery, but his power grew. Some say he was entrusted with the key to the abyss, a relic of unimaginable authority, capable of locking away the greatest evils. Others claim he ruled over the locust of destruction, a swarm that obeyed his every command. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. Abiddon was no longer just an angel. He was a harbinger, a being straddling the line between creation and annihilation. And soon, that line would be tested in the most dramatic way imaginable, when he faced off against Satan, the dragon of old, in a showdown that would echo through the ages. Abiddon's life before that fateful moment is a tapestry of shadows and secrets, and we've only just begun to pull at the threads. What drove him to become the jailer of the ultimate evil? What did he sacrifice to wield that kind of power? We left Abiddon standing at the edge of his destiny, an angel forged in heaven's light, tempered by the shadows of rebellion, and marked by a name that means destruction. Now, we've arrived at the moment that defines him, The day he faced Satan, the serpent, the adversary of all creation, and bound him in chains for 1,000 years. This isn't just a story of good versus evil. It's a plunge into hard divine justice, cosmic warfare, and a mystery so deep it'll keep you thinking. To understand this clash, we need context. Picture the universe in upheaval. Satan, cast down from heaven after his rebellion, didn't just slink away into the shadows. No, he waged war against humanity, weaving lies, sowing chaos, and building an empire of darkness on earth. The book of Revelation calls him the dragon, that ancient serpent, a being of such cunning and power that even the mightiest trembled. But his reign wasn't meant to last forever. Enter Abiddon, now fully the angel of the abyss, his purpose crystallized in a single earth-shaking mission, to end Satan's tyranny and lock him away. Revelation 20 gives us the blueprint. And I saw an angel coming down out of heaven, having the key to the abyss and holding in his hand a great chain. He seized a dragon and bound him for 1,000 years. That angel? Abiddon. But let's peel back the layers. This wasn't a simple arrest. Imagine the scene. The earth quaking, the skies splitting open, and Abiddon stepping into the fray. Not with a choir of angels, but alone. His presence was a storm unto itself, his eyes burning with a fury that wasn't just divine, but personal. Why personal? Because some say Abiddon and Satan weren't strangers. They'd stood side by side in heaven once, brothers in glory before the fall. Now, they were opposites, one the jailer, the other the prisoner. The battle wasn't quick or clean. Satan didn't go quietly. Picture a struggle that spanned realms, spiritual, physical, eternal. Satan lashed out with claws that could rend mountains, his voice a weapon of despair that could shatter mortal minds. But Abiddon was unmoved. His chains weren't just metal. They were forged from divine will. Each link glowed with a light that burned Satan's essence. Some scholars argue these chains were symbolic, representing God's authority. Others, they say they were real, tangible, a creation so potent it could hold the unholdable. Either way, Abiddon wielded them with precision, wrapping them around Satan's writhing form until the dragon's strength faltered. Then came the abyss, not just a prison, but a void beyond comprehension, a place where time unravels, where light drowns, where even an entity like Satan could be swallowed whole. Abiddon didn't just toss him in. No, this was deliberate, methodical. He hurled Satan into the depths, the chains clanking as they tightened, and with the key to the abyss, he sealed it shut. The sound, imagine it, wasn't just a lock clicking. It was a thunderclap that echoed across creation, a signal that the Prince of Darkness was caged, his influence severed for a millennium, 1,000 years of silence, enforced by Abiddon's hand. But what did this mean for the world, for heaven, for Abiddon himself? This wasn't a victory lap. Binding Satan didn't end evil, it paused it. Humanity still wrestled with sin, still faced the echoes of Satan's lies. Some theologians say this 1,000-year imprisonment, often called millennium, gave creation a breather, a chance to glimpse a world unshackled from the devil's direct grip. Others see it as a prelude, a setup for an even greater battle to come. And Abiddon, he didn't celebrate. He stood watch, the key still in his grasp, his duty unyielding. The destroyer had become the warden, and that shift came at a cost. Think about it. To lock away Satan, Abiddon had to confront the full weight of evil, not just its power, but its nature. He'd seen it up close, maybe even felt its pull again in that moment. Did he hesitate? Did he wonder if he could have been the one in chains? The texts don't say, but the silence speaks volumes. This act didn't just imprison Satan. It bound Abiddon to the abyss too. He became its guardian, its sentinel, tied to the darkness he'd conquered. And that tie would shape everything that came next. Picture this. The dust settles after that titanic struggle. Satan, the dragon, is gone, swallowed by the abyss, his roars muted behind a seal forged by divine power. The world above breathes a sigh of relief, 1,000 years stretching out like a fragile promise. But for Abiddon, there's no rest, no return to the golden courts of heaven. He doesn't soar back to the angelic hosts with trumpets blaring. Instead, he stays right there at the mouth of the abyss. Why? Because the key to the abyss isn't just a tool. It's a burden, a tether. And Abiddon? He's its keeper. Let's unpack that. The moment Abiddon locked Satan away, he didn't just end a battle. He began a vigil. Revelation doesn't say much about what he did next, but the silence is loud if you listen. Some traditions call him the Eternal Sentinel, tasked with ensuring the chains held. The seal stayed shut, and Satan's influence remained buried. Imagine the weight of that. 1,000 years isn't a weekend gig. It's an eternity in human terms, and even for an angel, it's a test of endurance. Abiddon wasn't guarding a door. He was guarding the boundary between order and chaos, light and darkness, hope and despair. Now, this wasn't a passive job. The abyss isn't some quiet cellar. It's alive, restless, a pit that hungers. Some ancient texts hint that it wasn't just Satan down there. Other entities, fallen angels, primal forces, churned in its depths, clawed at the edges of their prison. Abiddon didn't just stand there looking stoic. He listened. He felt the tremors of their rage, the echoes of Satan's muffled defiance. Every shudder of the seal was a reminder of what he'd done, and what could unravel if he faltered. This was a war of patience, a siege where the enemy never slept. But what did this do to him? Think about it. Abiddon wasn't human, but he wasn't immune to the toll of his duty. Before the imprisonment, he was a warrior, a destroyer, a being of action. Now, he's a statue, a fixture, his existence defined by stillness. Some say this changed him, hardened him. His wings, once shimmering with that dark sheen, grew brittle, their edges fraying like burnt parchment. His voice, if he ever spoke, fell silent. The angel who'd faced Satan head-on became a shadow of himself, not because he weakened, but because he bore a weight no one else could. Let's go deeper. 1,000 years is a long time to stare into the dark. What did he see in the abyss? Did he hear Satan's whispers, taunting him from below? Did he wrestle with memories of their shared past? Those days in heaven when they were brothers, not enemies? Some mystics claim Abiddon wasn't just guarding Satan. He was guarding himself. That old temptation, the pull of rebellion he'd once felt, might have lingered. The abyss wasn't just a prison for Satan. It was a mirror, reflecting the parts of Abiddon he'd buried. Duty became his shield, but it couldn't erase the questions. And what about heaven? Did the other angels visit him, praise and relieve him? The texts are mum, but folklore fills the gaps. Some say he was honored, a silent hero whose name was sung in celestial halls. Others whisper he was shunned, too tied to destruction, too close to the darkness he'd caged. Imagine that isolation, 1,000 years with no one but the abyss for company. No hymns, no light, just the endless hum of divine chains and the faint pulse of something sinister beneath. Abiddon didn't just imprison Satan. He imprisoned himself in a different way. Meanwhile, up top, the millennium unfolded. 1,000 years of relative peace, some say, a time when Satan's direct influence was bound, giving humanity a chance to breathe, to build, to seek the divine without his shadow looming so close. Abiddon's sacrifice made that possible. But did anyone know? Did they feel his presence, like a heartbeat under the earth? Probably not. He wasn't a savior in the spotlight. He was the unseen hand, the one who held the line when no one else could. That's the tragedy of Abiddon. His greatest act faded into obscurity, even as it shaped the world. But nothing lasts forever, not even 1,000 years. As the millennium neared its end, the abyss stirred. Revelation 20 tells us Satan would be released for a short time after his imprisonment. Who opened that seal? Some say it was Abiddon himself, his duty complete, his hand forced by divine decree. Others argue he resisted, that the cracks formed despite him, a failure he couldn't stop. Picture it. The chain slackening, the key trembling in his grip, and Satan's laughter rising from the deep. What did Abiddon feel in that moment? Relief? Dread? Betrayal? We don't know, but we can guess it broke something in him. Post-imprisonment, Abiddon's story fractures into speculation. Some say he returned to heaven, his task done, welcomed as a warrior who fulfilled his purpose. Others claim he stayed by the abyss, an eternal watcher even after Satan's release, too bound to it to leave. Darker tales whisper he descended into the pit himself, becoming its ruler, not its jailer. A king of locusts and ruin, As Revelation 9 hints with swarm-bearing angel, which is true, maybe all of them. Abiddon's legacy isn't a neat bow. It's a tangle of awe and unease, a testament to a being who straddled creation and destruction. Let's linger here. 1,000 years as the warden left Abiddon more than an angel. He became a symbol. To some, he's divine justice personified, the one who humbled the ultimate rebel. To others, he's a cautionary tale. Even the mightiest can be consumed by their purpose. His life after Satan's imprisonment wasn't glory. It was a slow burn, a vigil that tested his essence. And when that vigil ended, he didn't fade. He lingered in scripture, in myth, in the shadows of our imagination. So where does that leave us? Abiddon's story isn't over. Not really. The release of Satan sets the stage for a final reckoning, and whispers of Abiddon's return echo in apocalyptic lore. What role will he play? Will he rise again as a destroyer, or has his time as a watcher redefined him forever? Rewind to where we left off. The 1,000 years are up. Satan's chains snap, the seal on the abyss cracks wide, and the dragon bursts free, as Revelation 20 promises, to deceive the nations one last time. But where's Abiddon in this? Did he just step aside, his duty done? Or does he have a bigger role in the end times? The Bible's cryptic, but the clues and the theories paint a picture that's equal parts awe-inspiring and chilling. Let's break it down, piece by shadowy piece. First theory, Abiddon as a reluctant liberator. Revelation says Satan must be set free for a short time after the millennium. Some scholars argue Abiddon himself turned the key, not out of betrayal, but obedience. Imagine that moment. After 1,000 years of guarding the abyss, feeling every tremor, hearing every whisper, he's ordered to undo his greatest act. Did he hesitate? Did his hand shake as the seal broke? This paints him as a tragic figure, bound by divine will, forced to release the evil he'd sacrificed so much to contain. It's heartbreaking, and it raises a question. Was his vigil a victory or just a delay? Theory 2. Abiddon is the Lord of the End. Rewind to Revelation 9, where an angel of the abyss unleashes a plague of locusts, creatures of torment, led by Apollyon, the destroyer. Many link this to Abiddon, suggesting that after Satan's release, he doesn't just stand by, he transforms. Picture this. The abyss didn't just hold Satan, it changed Abiddon. 1,000 years staring into that void, tethered to its power, might have twisted him. He emerges not as a warden, but a ruler, a dark angel commanding an army of ruin, unleashed to judge a world that spiraled into chaos. Is he still God's servant here, or something else entirely? Theory 3. Abiddon redeemed. Some say his story ends in restoration. After Satan's release, after the final battles, Gog, Magog, the lake of fire, Abiddon returns to heaven. Think about it. He has fulfilled his purpose, borne the burden of the abyss, and weathered the end times. Maybe the key is laid down, his vigil honored, and he's welcomed back as a hero. The destroyer becomes a delivered, his dark wings burnished anew in divine light. It's a hopeful arc, but hinges on one thing. Did he stay loyal through it all, or did the abyss leave scars too deep to heal? Here's where it gets wild. What if it's all true? What if Abiddon's fate isn't one path, but a paradox? He releases Satan as duty demands, unleashes destruction as prophecy foretells, and still finds redemption in the end. His name, destruction, could mean he's both judge and judge, a duality baked into his essence from the start. Picture him standing at Armageddon, the final clash, with Satan raging on one side and heaven's armies on the other. Where does he turn? Does he fight alongside Michael? Or does he carve his own path, a shadow neither side can claim? Let's pull back. Satan's end is clear. Revelation 20 seals in the lake of fire, tormented day and night forever. But Abiddon? He's a ghost in the text, slipping through the cracks. Some say he vanishes after the abyss empties, his role complete, fading into eternity like a spent flame. Others whisper he's still out there, eternal, unkillable, tied to the concept of destruction itself. Maybe he's waiting, key in hand, for the next great evil to rise. Or maybe he's the evil, a wild card in a cosmic game we can't fully grasp. So what's his ultimate fate? The truth is, we don't know, and that's the hook. Abiddon's story isn't a tidy box with a bow. It's a riddle, a shadow that shifts depending on how you look at it. He's the angel who defied Satan, yet mirrored him, who served heaven, yet stood apart. His 1,000-year vigil shaped the world, but his endgame shapes how we see him. Is he a hero, a villain, a tool, or something beyond all three? That ambiguity is his power. It's why his name still echoes, why we're still talking about him millennia later. Abiddon's tale isn't just about the past. It's about us. He's the tension between duty and desire, loyalty and rebellion, light and dark. He chained Satan for 1,000 years, but he chains us too, to questions we can't escape. What would you do with that kind of power? Could you guard the abyss without losing yourself? His story ends where ours begins, at the edge of choice, staring into the deep. And maybe that's his real legacy, not the chains he forged, but the mirror he holds up to us all. That's it for Abiddon, the dark angel who imprisoned Satan and left us with mystery that won't let go. What do you think? Is he still out there, key in hand, or did he find peace beyond the abyss? Drop your theories in the comments. I'm dying to hear them. If this journey gripped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. We've got more cosmic tales coming your way. Until next time, keep seeking the shadows,